Hey friends, I know most of us have seen the officer-involved shooting that took place with the LAPD here recently, where it appears it was an accidental discharge. I like to get as much context as I can when framing a story up, or at least re-showing some video, because it kind of tells you really what's going on and really if there was an actual danger or anything of that nature. So here's a little bit about the story real quick. This girl had her boyfriend, who is the suspect in this video, over for drinks with some other people. He got drunk, loud, sort of verbally abusing her. She called the cops, locked him out of the apartment, and this is the 911 call where she actually makes contact with the police department.
Hi, I'm calling because I'm having a disturbance from my ex-boyfriend. He's trying to break into my apartment.
Okay. And is there a history of domestic violence between you, physical domestic violence between you two?
No, it's not physical, but
is he trying to?
I recently just kicked him out because he's verbally abusive.
Okay, so next up, you're going to see the video of the law enforcement agencies as they congregate in the parking lot. Now, let's remember, this guy, other than trying to break into the apartment and beat the door in, which does tend to lend itself to a little bit of violence, the girl has pointed out clearly in the video, or excuse me, the 911 call that you saw in the video, that the guy is not a physical threat, has not been physically abusing her. Now, I will say this, the police report that I read stated that she had been, or at least signs of physical abuse after all of this took place. But she's stating that the abuse that she's encountered has not been physical. So this is the law enforcement agency as they see this guy through a window, and then it's going to be the first video of one of the body cams as they chase down the hallway after this guy whenever he runs from them.
So where you guys at right now was how?
Hey, yo!
5 apartments down.
Yo! Let me see your hands. Walk back here, you in the white shirt.
Hey,
suspect's going out to the front.
Hey, he's going out to the front.
Yeah.
You know what?
Hey, come here.
Mr. Your hands.
He doesn't have a weapon, I promise.
Get out. Get out. Step out. Step out. Step out. Face that way. Dude, I thought he was fucking pointing something at me, dude.
No, hell no. I wouldn't.
What the fuck are you running for?
He's up to a fucking cop because you fools I see how you fools down.
Now you could see clearly that this guy inside the apartment complex, his hands were both up, and clearly he was not threatening to the cops in any kind of way. This is a case of a negligent discharge. But this is also the LAPD, and they are not known for telling the truth. This next body cam shot is going to be the one that really shows you that this guy had his finger on the trigger, and the adrenaline was pumping, and he did his own little desk pop out in the field. Now this would be bad enough, but the LAPD came out and made a statement stating that whenever they shine the light into the apartment complex, this guy presented a threat to them. That is a lie. Here's the video.
And ran back inside the victim's apartment. The officers chased Cervantes, and as they approached the victim's open front door, they saw Cervantes standing just inside the doorway. One of the officers then illuminated the inside of the apartment with his flashlight and saw Cervantes taking what he believed was a shooting stance. Which resulted in an officer-involved shooting. Cervantes was not struck by gunfire and was taken into custody without incident.
This person in this video, clearly they're not the one who assembled the statement, but nevertheless, the LAPD brass They had access to all of these body cam shots. And they knew that this guy was not a threat. They knew that his hands were in the air. They knew that his hands were not in a threatening position. And whenever they say he had something in his hand, it appears to me there was a set of keys that he threw on the ground. The guy was in no threat whatsoever. They're trying to justify the desk pop out into the field. That's not going to work. Let's remember that no one was shot here. And let's be thankful that no one was shot. Because had this man gotten shot in any kind of way, whether just injured or killed, or even the girlfriend who was in the apartment, things would have been a lot worse. They wouldn't just be putting out a statement stating that this person was a threat, some type of threat. They would be coming out and making a full-blown lie. They probably would have been saying that somehow or another the body cam footage was lost. So luckily we're not going down that road, and we don't have some kind of crazy lawsuit with a bunch of lies and cover-up going on. But nevertheless, why are they lying about this? You see, California has made it a point to defund their own police. They're proud of that. They have been very open about that. In fact, in the LAPD, LA County type area, they are way proud of it. Their district attorney is not prosecuting people. They're going very easy on crime. What happens is whenever you accept the criminal's rights above anyone else's, including the person walking on the street not committing a crime, you elevate the status of those criminals to the point where law enforcement, you're getting the bottom of the barrel. You're not getting the cream of the crop. So now your standards have been lower. You've been accepting people that you normally would not accept because nobody wants the job. If you look at these statistics, clearly we have a lower and lower and lower skill set every single year. This is proof right here that the recruits are not getting the necessary training that they're supposed to get, and their requalification efforts are, if they're even taking place, are not fruitful. These guys are supposed to requalify. In many cases, the agencies across the country have to requalify once, sometimes twice a year. I don't think that's happening here. I did a little bit more digging, and I found quite a bit that would be shocking to people if they knew the lower level of training and the minimum amount of training that these people are getting whenever it comes to law enforcement training with firearms. I've even found that the FBI has had at least 48 accidental shootings in the past 5 years. The FBI, this is a small subset of people out there. It's not like the LAPD. I found that there were 1,422 unintentional discharges since 2012 and 258 agencies, and uncovering detailed reports on 426. Look, man, 1,422 accidental, unintended discharges, whatever you want to call them. I call them negligent. That's unacceptable for a group of people who are carrying a firearm. But let me tell you something. This is why I have outrage whenever we, one, allow anyone who has carried a badge to get concealed carry in a particular state, whereas the non-law enforcement person has to go through this process. Most of the people who are involved in firearms, I don't mean everybody who has a firearm, but a lot of people like myself and many of you out there, we have way more training, way more. We have more training in a month than these people get in an entire year in law enforcement. Most of these law enforcement guys will admit to you that they only touch their firearm the 2 times a year that they have to touch their firearm for requalification. I sit here and I listen to these police chiefs say how dangerous it's going to be because all of a sudden now we're going to have people, if we do constitutional carry, carrying firearms out there without training. I can bet in most, if not every single case, that those very chiefs that sit in those seats have had a fraction of the training and trigger time that I've had. That's why it bothers me so much whenever they sit up there and preach about we're the little old citizen and we don't have the training like they do. If I had their kind of training, that low level, minimal amount of training, I would be scared to death to carry a firearm on the street. This particular agency, LAPD, used to have what they called a bonus course where you could go in there and qualify, and depending on how good of a score you got, you could actually get a higher rate of pay as a result of how you score, which was, to me, a pretty good incentive to make somebody not only take it serious with their firearms training, but to do a little bit of, I guess you could say, off-site firearms training, weekend firearms training upon yourself to improve your rate of pay. I'll be honest with you, this officer right here that snapped off this desk pop out in public, I don't think he's going to be taking everybody for crab legs at the Red Lobster anytime soon. Folks, the thing that aggravates me most, and that's the point of this video, is that these officials are lying about something that is on camera, proving them wrong, because they don't want to admit that their officer was wrong. That's dangerous. They're telling you to ignore what you see on tape. They're not even trying to act like they're not lying about it. They're telling you, I realize there's video, but what you see is not what happened. That's scary, folks.
God save the Queen, man.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
He's so horrible.